Hey, what's going on? Nick Unsworth with lifeonfire.com, and this episode you better just watch out. Watch out now, because Cole Hatter is not only just one of my really close, great friends, but he is just an incredibly powerful entrepreneur. He's the #1 speaker for a $100 million plus company called Fortune Builders. And he is just so good at what he does, and he brings so much wisdom to the table. And Cole's going to be talking about reinventing yourself, your life, and your business, and prospering with purpose. And so what I love about Cole is he just has so much faith in his ability to manifest abundance. And wouldn't that be nice if you could have that mindset to attract abundance into your life? And so check out this episode. Don't miss a minute because it's so good. Hey, what's going on? Nick Unsworth here, and I'm a kick-ass business coach, and I'm on an absolute mission to help you find your purpose in life, to help you love what you do for work every single day, to help you be the rock star that you are meant to be, to make more money than you ever thought was possible, and to have more time freedom so you can actually enjoy the life that you're living. I'm here to help you set your life on fire. Gotta do the knock. Everyone knows this knock. Such a cheese ball. Hey!
What's up, brother?
Good to see you,
man.
Good to see you too, man.
Welcome.
All right.
Come on in.
Everybody, this is Cole, my main man.
Nice to meet you.
All right, so dude, fired up for today.
All right, yeah, let's just take a quick tour.
Let's do it.
Quick disclaimer, we are in the middle of renovations right now. These were wood floors 12 days ago that got ripped out, replaced this, and they're doing a whole bunch of other work, so pardon our dust, as they say.
And it's still looks immaculate. So tell us a little bit about how this all came together, man. Like,
What, getting this place?
yeah. You know, what was some of the background story?
Sure. Well, man, it's a long story.
Yeah.
But got started in entrepreneurship at 20 years old.
Yeah.
Was in and we might talk more about this later, but got in a car accident that ended my career as a firefighter. I was a firefighter, decided in junior high school it's what I wanted to do. God just put it on my heart to help people, and I figured what better way to help than being a firefighter and getting paid for it even better.
Sure.
Graduated high school, did that, got in a car accident, into that career. That's when all the advice started rolling in.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're 21, you know, you go get a degree, go get a job, you know, you don't know if you'll ever walk again. It was a bad accident.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, it's not really what I wanted to ever do anyways, get a job. And I looked around at a lot of people around me who were in their 20, 21, 22, 23, who had gone off to school, gotten degrees, and were back at their parents' house with the jobs they'd had in high school. Not that that's always the result, but at least at that time, that's what I was looking at as my future. And I just said, you know what, not into it. So actually found entrepreneurship and ended up doing real estate first.
Okay.
Because the year that all happened was 2004.
Okay.
Real estate was exploding.
The good old days.
Yeah, exactly, the good old days. Got started when it was easy to make money, but figured out a way to manage to survive the crash.
Yeah.
And you know, my primary first focus of entrepreneurship and business was in real estate. Yeah. Still do it to this day. Yeah. Not as aggressively as we used to, but it is something I'll never leave because it's, you know, creates more millionaires than anything else in America. And so it's something, you know, it's a great place to stick money. But as you said, I'm kind of in a pivot of not just exclusively focusing on real estate anymore, of branching out, doing a lot of things, which I've been doing now the last about 2 years. But so that's what kind of made it all happen. Sure. In my early 20s, had massive financial success, then kind of things crumbled. Not even because of the business or the economy, but because of stuff that was going on in here. Some things I went through, a relationship that didn't work out, and stories I started telling myself, and you know how important mindset is for succeeding. I mean, I knew how to make money. I'd been doing it from 21 to 25. And then it all ended. And I actually ended up just leaving. I moved to Mexico for 7 months. I shut everything down. I was just gone. And I just went down there, got clarity, figured out some things, some hang-ups I had, left them in Mexico, got total healing while I was working at an orphanage and a nonprofit down there building houses for homeless. So I just really focused on giving back to others.
So it sounds like, so at that point, you made, let's just call it, a lot of money in real estate, and then, and what was some of the things going through your mind that led to that shift to then go to Mexico and to take that hiatus? Or
a relationship that I thought would last didn't. That was like a big part of it. And then my business was struggling, although it was still profitable. It wasn't, I mean, gosh, you did a little bit of real estate yourself. 2004, 2005, all you had to do was buy a house and you'd sell it for a profit. It's not hard to make money in real estate at all, right? So my dad and I, who was my business partner, he and I were just crushing it. And then all of a sudden,
Hey.
Then I said, oh, baby girl, you shy? So then all of a sudden, is it too hot? Oh, sorry, here you go. So then all of a sudden, it wasn't as easy to make money anymore.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing was, again, just this emotional blow I took was like a mental blow.
Yep.
And I just didn't have the tenacity anymore. I just, you know, there's a spirit to entrepreneurship, there's a mindset, and it killed my mindset.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to explain it other than that. Maybe you know, when, sometimes people who are doing well go through a life event that just knocks you on your butt. And I was just spinning in circles.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't passionate about making or doing real estate. It was just what I'd been doing that paid the bills. And when I lost my passion in other areas, I went to find it. And so I just went down there, gave back for 7 months.
And so that was 7 months in Mexico?
Yeah, 2010, I was in Mexico for 7 months from May until January.
Okay.
So
that's cool. I mean, that's something that really I connect with. I think we've got so many similarities in like background and story and like our desire to live a life on fire. And I told a little bit about like my trip to Honduras and
I saw it on your website. It's awesome.
Yeah, now we're doing the building a school in Guatemala and stuff, and which is cool. So I totally resonate and connect with that. And
is this school through Pencils for Promise?
Yeah,
Pencils of Promise, man, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's super cool. So tell us about that experience. So you're in Mexico, and I mean, how did that impact you, and how did that kind of revitalize you as a person and entrepreneur?
When I left for Mexico, that other relationship ended way back, like 2006 or something like that. I don't even remember, 2008, I don't know, it was a while ago.
Okay.
And I was actually dating Sonia, who you guys had the pleasure of meeting a few minutes ago. And just my hang-ups were impacting this relationship. She actually dumped me. It was Cinco de Mayo. And
on Cinco de Mayo?
On Cinco de Mayo, can you believe that?
Man.
Who does that, right? Heartless. But she just sat me down and she's like, you know, I don't need you to propose to me. I don't even need to tell me that you want to marry me. But I need to know that marriage is something that's in your future or something you'll even consider doing.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, nope, right? Because of this other relationship, I was just like, never, not happening. And then she did one of the things that I respect most about her forever. She's like, okay, I love you, but if you can't love me the way that I love you, then this is it. And she dumped me. How awesome was that, right? And then it really knocked me on my butt. And I was like, hey, how long am I going to let this chip right on my shoulder? So my business was not crumbling, but it was not doing well. Yeah. I got dumped by my girlfriend. Yeah. I just basically told my dad, my business partner, take my shares of the company, they're yours, and I just bounced. I just went down there, not even knowing what to expect. I reached out to a nonprofit that was based in Ensenada, which is only about 2.5 hours south where you live in San Diego, about 4 hours south from here in Orange County. And I showed up not knowing anybody, not knowing what to expect. I moved into an apartment, had a Mexican roommate who lives there. He's a Mexican national. His name's Walter, who still to this day is one of my best friends.
Really? No way.
Yeah. And started working full time for this nonprofit, just eating at my savings. Like I turned my back on the business world. What money I had left, I said, I'm just going to go. Yeah. And so I'm just down there supporting myself. And the primary thing I was doing was building houses for homeless. Just like Pencils of Promise build schools, these build houses for people. Okay. They're 16 by 20 foot houses. They're awesome. Yeah. And so I started doing that. And then kind of found a struggling orphanage that was down there that was kind of a makeshift. It wasn't even an orphanage. It was for women who are have addiction problems. It's like a recovery program. And when they had kids, the kids just kind of hung out. Oh, yeah. So we helped kind of give it awareness and raise some support and some funding and turn it into like a full-blown orphanage, which is cool. Yeah. So I did that 7 days a week, just hang out with the kids, fell in love with them. Yeah. And what's weird is the more I poured into others, building houses for homeless and playing with these kids and feeding them and caring for them and getting the clean water brought in because they're in a remote area where they have no, I mean, the Mexican water you can't drink anyway, but they had no water, right? Right. And the more and more I poured on them, into them, the more and more healing I got. That's crazy. Which is really cool, right? Powerful message. And I didn't go down there to get fixed. I just said, all right, fine, you know what? I got dumped, business sucks, I'm going to start a new life for myself. So at this point, you're still dumped, right? So you're in Mexico and... Yeah, dude. Yeah, and we had very little contact. From the time I moved down there all the way until August, we didn't have any contact. Okay. Then we started, you know, emailing back and forth because she was a big part of my life, you know. And then she actually ended up coming down to surprise me. My mom, like, twisted her arm to come down there. And she spent 3 days down there. And when she left, I knew for sure she wasn't the one. Because of things that happened, she looked at my lifestyle and I told her, I'm not going to make money anymore. I'm going to like raise support and I'm over it. And I'm just going to stay down here. And she's like, hey, I love your heart. But like, my heart isn't living in a third world country. Because I was like, after Mexico, I'm going to move to Africa. And after Africa, I'm going to move to Southeast Asia. And I'm just going to go after one cause after the next, after the next. I'm over business. I'm over all that, right? Talk about a pendulum swing, you know what I mean? Dude, I got hit in the gut, right? And so I said, all I'm going to do is give back. And she's like, hey, I love the giving back. I don't care that you don't want to make money anymore, but I need to be in America with my family. I'm not going to live in Mexico and then Africa and then Thailand, and I want to be here. And so we had a real, heart-to-heart talk on it, and we had broken up quickly, like all of a sudden in May, and then that was like closure. Like that was like, all right, well, we're not for each other, and nice to know you. That was in August. Get all the way through to November, and I just had it put on my heart. I just knew that she was the one. Somehow, some things changed, and it's a little bit of a long story there. And I did go to Southeast Asia for a month in February, so we weren't talking. She could have been dating someone else for all I know, right? I have no idea. We're not talking at all. And I came home and I did this huge surprise where, you know about Catalina? I know you're from Connecticut.
I've never been.
But you've heard
Catalina's amazing.
Catalina's 27 miles off the coast just here. Right? So it's a quick hour-and-a-half ride out there. And I planned this big old surprise through 2 of her girlfriends collaborating with me, saying that they had won a free trip.
Oh, no
So
way.
it was girls' weekend out there. My wife and her 2 best girlfriends hop on the boat. She's going out there for a girls' party. It's all whatever. When she got there, I was there. And she didn't know where I was. She knew that I was in Thailand through the community because she was still connected with my family. But she had no idea that I was back in the United States. No idea, nothing. And I asked her to marry me.
Wow.
I didn't know if she was dating someone. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. We'd barely even been talking. But I said, so it had been all the way from May all the way until the next March. It took me 10 months. But I was like, remember that conversation we were having in your car the night you dumped me? And I just, walked through the whole thing. It's a little more romantic than that. But I said, you're the one. I took a knee, asked her to marry me. She said, heck yes.
And that's what she said?
Yeah, she literally said, heck yes. And that was in March. We got married in September on 9/10/11.
Okay.
All right, so September 10th, 2011, we got married and moved into a house in Laguna Niguel. Thought we would have kids, I don't know, 2 years into marriage. 5 months later, we found out baby girl's on the way, right?
Boom.
So little unexpected, but the best surprises, or the best things in life usually are a surprise, right? And then realized, well, this little house we have in Laguna Niguel isn't going to work for a family, so we bought this.
Bam.
That's the story. And then on the business side, what's really cool is once I got clarity and found purpose, I made a lot of money from 21 to 25. A lot. I was having pretty big years. Lost my passion for it. Turn away, living off savings. But once I got clarity and once I got focus and once I got passion back in my life, I'm more financially successful now than I was. And that was when I was like, I don't want to make money anymore. I just want to give back. And coming home and having like a renewed spirit of just getting that total of 10 months of just total healing, focusing outward on others. So I lived in Mexico for the 7 months, but then I went to Thailand for a month to work with victims of human trafficking, women and children that's just a gnarly story there. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, actually. And just coming home and my relationship was restored. My finances are bigger than they've ever been. And I mean, this house, everything is just a result of the click and the shift that took me 10 months to go through. It wasn't a conversation someone had. It wasn't a book I read. It was 10 months of chipping away at my stories I was telling myself in my head. That finally got me clear on what it is I'm supposed to be creating.
And I think what I love about your story, man, is that there's so many takeaways, but it's like, at any time in our lives, we can make that shift. If you're not happy with what you're doing, and for you to focus on purpose and to make that shift, and it's always ever evolving. And we're going to dive into that a little bit more. But then giving. The more that you gave back with your time and putting your heart into those projects, like look what that's manifested into.
Man.
And it's just wild. It's the more that we as a company with Life on Fire give back, it's like abundance. I was just saying on Facebook, abundance is flowing in, and the more that we faithfully give, without even whether it's time or money, it just unlocks all kinds of abundance to come back to you. So, you want to cruise inside?
Yeah, sure. But I want to say one thing about that, though. I know that you and Gary Vaynerchuk, because I watched that, I'm like, dude, I'm consuming your content. As I was searching around, actually learning more about John Lee Dumas with Entrepreneur on Fire. Somehow stumbled across Life on Fire and watched your website, and at first I was pissed, bro, because you're doing everything that I want to do. I was like, oh my gosh, he's got giving back and purpose on. There's the word, right? Because I bought. Anyway, bottom line is I have all these domains with the word purpose in it, and I wanted to like create this on purpose brand, and all of a sudden you're doing it, and I actually assigned. You want to know what's funny? I never told you this. I assigned my assistant to stalk you, right?
No way.
Because I was like, figure out everything about this guy.
That's who the girl was with the glasses and the mustache,
exactly.
and
the bushes, right? And the fake nose and the mustache. To just stalk what you're up to. And what's really cool is, I very, it wasn't a jealousy thing, but I actually was like, dude, if there's more people beating the same drum, all the better. And so I just put it out there that, sorry, we've got golf balls being thrown at us. Seriously,
I
just put it out there that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna meet this guy somehow because we're on the same mission,
Yeah.
right? And that's what it's all about. So for a second, I was pissed that you thought of it first, right? Or that you were already doing it, at least something that I've been thinking a long time about. But
Just
in a second, I was
for
like,
you.
yeah, totally. I was like, you know what, this is real. And so I just put it out there that I'd meet you, and then how we met was a funny story.
Yeah, and share that real quick too.
Okay, so I'm in San Diego, about to meet John Lee Dumas for the first time to talk to him about podcasting, because it's something that I'm in the process of launching, actually. My podcast will be launching. We're recording this in May. It'll be in the next month in June.
Okay.
And so I'm excited to interview you up there as well, just so you know. Wink, wink. So I'm waiting to meet John Lee Dumas, right? Yeah. And Nick and John share an apartment, not an apartment, but live in the same building. Gorgeous, gorgeous spot down and looking over Mission Bay. You've probably seen it on the website. And so you can't just get into that building. It's locked and there's a code. And I was supposed to meet him at 9 sharp, and I'm there at like 8:45 to make sure I'm on time. And so I'm just kind of like kicking rocks because I was like, well, I think it was like 8:52 at this point. I was like, man, I got 8 minutes, but I don't want to bust in on him early. So I'm just kind of twiddling my thumbs. And then all of a sudden this dude comes jogging up and is like, hey man, are you locked out? Do you need help? And I'm looking at him, I'm like, dude, you're the Life on Fire guy. I was like, I just put it out there that I was going to meet you. What are you doing here, bro?
The funny thing is, I actually went jogging on the bay, and the only way to get there is to go through the garage and you go out. And I would normally just take the elevator up, and I literally just looked at the elevator and was like, nah. And I ended up coming out the other side and then being able to jog up. So it's just funny because I totally went a different way, basically.
Oh, that's funny.
And then we ended up meeting, and it was cool because we hung and we spent like 3 hours or so.
Yeah.
I think we even had a little sip of scotch.
Oh yeah, man. I saw that John's a Scotch lover, so I brought him a bottle of Johnny Blue just to, crescent our business relationship. And you just happened to be there, and we got to take a sip of that.
Happened to have like the day totally open. It was awesome. And so we hung and dove into your story and what's going on. And I think from a networking standpoint, like, it's just a good move. Like, he's going to meet John Lee Dumas. He knows the guy like Scotch, brings some Johnny Walker Blue. Dude, Dumas has been talking that thing up, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a cool situation. So it's like, always given, he's
I'm going to slaughter the quote, but Napoleon Hill talks about something like when momentum happens, providence moves. Something, he uses the word providence, but like when you make a decision and you start, it's called The Secret mentality. If you've read the book or seen the movie of The Secret, of just, you put it out there. I was like, all right, I'm not jealous of this guy. I'm going to figure him out, and we're going to collaborate because dude, 2 microphones, even better, right?
For sure.
And then I put it out there, and literally it was about 3 weeks later, you jogged up to me. Yeah. Like, it's just kind of cool,
a weird turn of events.
And now fast forward about 3 weeks after that, here you are at my house.
Yeah.
And so my sister's actually the assistant, because I have the virtual assistant and then her as well, because she's...
Is she still stalking?
No. But it's just funny.
She's relieved,
I was telling her that we're doing this today, and she's like, how funny is that this is a dude we were stalking 6 weeks ago who's coming to your house now to do this? And I was like, that's how life works, right? Once you can make a decision, take action, right? Yeah. Like I watched your content with Jonathan Budd. His big tip being take massive action.
Massive action.
Taking massive action, and here you are. So
yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, I just think about like the power of the decision and investing in yourself, and to go towards what it is that you love, and that's always changing. It's like I was talking earlier or last week, and I was talking about modeling, right? Mm-hmm. So, if you like what I've got going on, Life on Fire, it's super easy. You can model the way our business looks and put it in your own language, and boom.
Totally.
And now we've already spent tons of money on copy and brand and all that, and there's always shortcuts, So I was talking about when we first got started, I looked at all the other businesses out there, and I wanted to just have these travel around the world and throw networking events and stuff, but I couldn't support that with my network at the time. I couldn't support, charging 10 grand for that. I didn't have the brand or the backing to go do that. Right. I need to make a living. So in the short term, it's like, all right, I'm going to be 80% Suzanne Evans. So she's our business coach, and I looked at her business model.
I know Suzanne Evans.
So I looked at her business, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to be 80% Suzanne because I got to pay the bills. I got to create revenue. I'm going to be 10% Yannick Silver, who does like really cool events, and they travel around and they give back, and amazing business.
Right on.
And I'm going to be 10% Marie Forleo, and we're going to have this video show that you guys are watching. Yeah, Marine TV, right?
Right on.
So I'm like, that's how I looked at starting the business, and it was like, that was where it started. And now, fast forward almost exactly a year later, now it's like we're 50% Suzanne.
Right.
We're, 25% Marie, 25, and we're now, so we're just evolving into more fun events and cool things, and and you know, scaling out the coaching a little bit more. But it's, the cool thing is that you can always make those pivots, and as long as you're doing what you love, it just, everything starts to flow and everything starts to happen. It's like, for you making the pivot out of making an amazing life for yourself in real estate, but not having the purpose there.
Right.
And that little adjustment, and to now go on to, you know, start a podcast, and you know, we'll dive into that. So it's just so much fun that you can always change, make that decision and roll.
You can't overemphasize that though. I mean, this is living proof. I was living on my savings, making $0, completely emotionally destroyed, working towards financial ruin, because I like literally turned my world, or my back to the world. I didn't even have a cell phone down there. Like I was done. Like Cole vanished for a while. And just making that pivot, that shift, getting clarity, finding purpose, finding focus, coming back. And it's like everything I thought that was important to me at that time wasn't.
Horizontal with Cole. And man, this is so comfortable.
Yeah, man, this is why it's kind of hard to watch movies in here, because half the time you fall asleep, you just lounge all the way out and you're just done.
You need like a, you know, put some on the ceiling too, project it there and there.
You could if you angled it up.
Yeah, true. So I'm excited for this part of the show, because drilling down into some teachable moments, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking about, I mean, you've got crazy experience from real estate and a lot of, you know, time on stages. And so I want to start on mindset. Okay. And so, guys, what we do is we've got 4 pillars to a life on fire. We've got mindset, marketing, networking, and purpose. So we totally, you know, talk through purpose and stuff. I think we'll drill down a couple more nuggets. But let's start with mindset. And I'm curious to hear, you know, things that you do that have allowed you to overcome crazy obstacles in your journey and get to this level. So anything, when I say the word mindset, you know, any techniques or any things that you could suggest.
And I'm going over the last 10 years of developing and growing and crashing and burning and mindset. Mindset is, I think, you know, you always have like the 80-20. It's like 80% mindset, 20% skills or whatever. And I don't know what the ratio is, but I know that mindset matters. We were talking about that in the backyard. I had success from 21 to 25. I was making a lot of money. And then my mind shifted, my mindset shift of just getting, you know, punched in the gut with some life things. And that's all that changed. I didn't forget how to make money. I didn't forget how to market. I didn't forget how to promote. I didn't forget how to do any of that. I just didn't have the mind to do it, the mindset. So I think the mindset is huge. And, you know, so for a teaching point, how do you stay in the zone, right? How do you keep your mindset where it needs to be to really be at your inner game, right? Because you've got inner game and outer game. And so like your inner game is mindset, belief. Outer game is like physically, you know, how you dollar for dollar ROI on your marketing campaigns or whatever, right? So your inner game mindset, accountability, I think is huge. And so one thing that I've always had is somebody, and it has changed people throughout the years, is accountability. To say, dude, Cole, you're not on course for what you're capable of, for what you want to create, for what you said you were going to create. You're slipping. The way that you're just talking right now, I had a good friend call me out, and I was talking about how I hated real estate at one point. Because I didn't have any systems in place, which is something I'm really passionate about, teaching people how to systemize business and not be a technician, but be an entrepreneur, like Michael Gerber's The E-Myth, right? And I was talking about how I hated real estate at this one point in my career, and he's like, dude, watch your language. He's like, not that I was using profanity, but he's like, hating your primary income stream, what are you talking about? And so just having those accountability people that will come and go, or those staples, like a spouse that are always there, to make sure that you are always performing at what you're capable of performing, and you allowing them the ability to speak truth into your life, of not having walls up and being sat down and saying, hey, your mindset's off. What you're talking about is scarcity. What you're talking about is not abundance. What you're talking about is fear. Whatever it is, right? So one thing that helped me get back on course was accountability. Another one is quiet. One thing that's been huge for me in getting my mindset is finding time to be quiet. I'm actually, for the first time ever, starting to learn to meditate now. I've always avoided it because I thought it was a religious thing that I don't practice. I'm not Buddhist, you see the monks in the movies that meditate and all that stuff. They don't speak for years. And so I've never been opposed to it. I have nothing negative to say about it. I just always assumed it was something that I don't do. It's never been something I've been taught, and it's not a part of it. But as I'm learning and hearing Tim Ferriss talk a lot about, meditation and even my own life coach. I have a life coach that was teaching me the meditation practices is something that's huge, of just finding quiet space and getting clear and reorganizing your thoughts, right? Reverse engineering your plans, getting clear on the next action step of what it is that you want to create. So again, the long story is how do you keep the right mindset? First of all, you got to make better decisions.
Yep.
And that's one thing that I promote heavy when I'm on stages around the country speaking, is that every single decision you make only has two results. You're either making yourself money or costing yourself money. That's it. Now, there could be a lot of moving parts. You're hiring people, you're firing people, you're bringing on interns.
Sure.
There's moving parts, but the result of hiring, firing, bringing people on or not, growing your office or not, is making you or costing you money, right?
Sure.
And so knowing that the decisions you make, it's not just a Chinese proverb, it's not just a fortune cookie. You are where you are today because of the decisions and the mindset you had yesterday.
Yep.
So where you'll be tomorrow is a result of the decisions you make today. And so I think mindset's everything. And that's one of the biggest things I focus on when I teach and talk is if you want to get somewhere and you want to have an awesome harvest, then the seeds you're planting today matter. And then to get so that's easy. All right, I'll make a decision today to change my life forever. Cool. And have someone hold you accountable and get there and keep you in the right mindset. So
huge, so important, because it's so, when I think about just like, coaching clients, I think about people and they're not where they want to be or they're not living a life on fire. It always comes back to decisions. Totally. And, if someone wants more time in their life, they want more, more time freedom. It's like, it actually comes from making faster decisions. All the time we spend stewing on stuff and not doing stuff. So it's really powerful, and I love the accountability. I mean, I think we all need accountability coaches, or, if you don't have a coach, it's like, start with, I think an actionable thing is, if you don't have a business coach, I would encourage you to seek one out. If you can't afford that at this point in your life, it's like, you could find someone that you respect, that you trust, that could really play full out with you and be accountability, buddies, if you will. And it's so important. It, keeps you, at your top of your game. And I love what you said about keeping you at your like peak performance. And that's what makes for a great coach. It's kind of like a coach, whether it's a business or a coach in sports. I mean, they come in because they're seeing the talent in the player and getting them to produce and stay in that game, in the zone, or operate, or swing the golf club or swing the bat at the highest level. That's no different than you as an entrepreneur. So super cool. Especially for beginners, because I've been doing business now for 10 years. Yep. I've made a lot of money. I lost money. Well, I stopped making money and then just spent it, like going around. And then I've made more money now. And that's all great. That's fantastic, right? But I now have a decade of history under my belt. So when I start getting in my own way and my mind starts playing tricks on me, I can reflect back on a decade now of having some success, right? Where like beginner, let's just say some of your viewers and some of your listeners are just getting started. You guys need to realize that when you don't have a track history of success, without someone who is where you want to be, to guide you, to motivate you, to hold you accountable, to keep you in the right headspace, it's easy to throw in the towel. Because you can't say, all right, this is a really hard month, right? I'm just, for whatever reason, my connections aren't happening. These things aren't, the planets aren't aligning themselves. Oh, but I've made a lot of money so far this year, and it's a rough month. I'll be okay. Whatever, right? But for someone that's just getting started, I see so many people quit before they've even gotten started, and it's like Napoleon Hill's 3 feet from gold. Like, you have no idea how close you are to succeeding. And that extra kick in the butt from that coach can bring you that 3 feet farther to finding your goal, so to speak. And so, especially for people that are not just beginning, but who are doing very well. I'll just tell you this. I won't tell you the number, but I'll tell you, so far in 2014, I've invested more financially into coaching than I have ever in my entire life. A small fortune. But I am planting seeds that are going to be more fulfilling. More within my life purpose, and very probably more profitable than ever before in my life. And let's dive into purpose, because I think so on the purpose side, I think that this pivot where you are, we were talking earlier, outside, just about how anyone can make that decision at any time in their life and decide to live a life on fire. Making over $1 million a year, which is amazing, and but tell us about your decision to move away from that and to really just go towards that purpose, and tell us a little bit about what your purpose is. So the biggest shift that I'm going through right now is my finances are okay. I can do what I'm doing right now forever. My bills will always be paid and I'll always be okay. And I'm quote unquote comfortable financially.
And what I'm doing is cool, right? I mean, I sit on stage, I impact people, and that's cool, and that'll be something I always do. Real estate is a something that we need, right? Buying houses that are not in livable condition, making them gorgeous, and providing families. It's awesome, and I'll do that forever, right?
Helps people.
Yeah, it helps me. So it's not like I'm not doing something that is positive, right? But it doesn't. My life's not on fire. And I truly believe that life was not meant to tiptoe through life and arrive at your grave safely. It's meant to live on fire, right? It's supposed to be life on fire. I love that. I even told you that on the balcony. I was like, can't believe you thought of life on fire. That's so sick, right? And so when it comes to purpose, you know, I'm in a big transition of, okay, I'm okay financially. And I can continue to do what I'm doing forever. Real estate's great, and I will. I'll buy rental properties. I believe that everyone in the world should have rental real estate, right? Because it's a huge tax savings and all that. So I'll keep doing real estate. But the point is, as far as my primary focus and primary income stream, what I'm doing right now is only things that align with what I believe my purpose is. And it's crazy because that's that back to that accountability. Like you know, he doesn't call himself a coach. He's more of a consultant, which he is. But like people just call me out, and I'll get this idea. I was halfway through creating a product that shows people automation in business. A huge, huge need in the workplace of small business owners. Guys and gals that are doing it all themselves. You guys listening and watching this, doing it all yourselves, working 80, 90-hour weeks. You got to look at where you can create a system, automate, and outsource, right? And so I had this great product, but I don't want to be the outsourcing guy. I was halfway done, and then finally somebody called me out. My coach is like, what are you doing? Like, I get it. This will make money. The world needs it, but like, is that truly your purpose? And so I scrapped it maybe for a later date, but it's not what I want to like enter the world doing. And so here's what my definition of purposes, because that can be an intimidating word for some people. A lot of people believe it's like a religious word or whatever, which it's not. Every single person has a purpose. If you're a religious person, it might be spreading the gospel. If you're not, you might be a cancer survivor and you're passionate about it, of promoting getting awareness and getting checked sooner so that it's not too late. You might have an autistic child or a child with Down syndrome, and your purpose is curing those diseases, right? So every single person has a purpose. Don't kid yourselves to think you don't. Everybody does. And what I believe your purpose is a lot of times life circumstances. A lot of times, not just life circumstances, but the worst things you've ever gone through. Your worst experiences that's unique. That not that you're the only one that's gone through it, but not everyone goes through it. Right. Then the other things of yours that are unique, your gifts, your abilities, your desires, your drives, and you put what you've gone through as a person and what you're naturally gifted at, because we all are born with gifts, and you put them together to be your unique purpose. So I have a way of speaking and empowering from stage and educating. That's something I, quote unquote, was born with. I'm able to communicate my thoughts in an environment. I have no such thing as stage fright, which the number one fear I hear in the world is stage fright. For whatever reason, I wasn't given any of that. And not to, pat myself on the back, I have huge hang-ups in other areas of my life, right? But standing in front of people and speaking, I don't even get butterflies anymore. And I've gone through some really interesting things. I didn't get into the story. We don't have time now, but the car accident that ended my firefighting career was bad, and there's a lot of stuff I still carry to this day of hang-ups there, but I went through some unique things. People lose people in car accidents, people go through car accidents. That doesn't make me unique, but I went through things that a lot of people don't, and I've got gifts that some people don't, and I'm able to put them together and empower, right? And so now I want to create a brand around that, like you, of helping people live their lives on fire, of getting out of their own way, of realizing that you're not supposed to just survive. You're not supposed to figure out a job that pays your bills, that what you feel is an okay lifestyle. I always tell people, imagine your dream life. What does that monthly or annually look like? Is that a $500,000 a year? Is that $1 million a year lifestyle? Cool. You want to make $1 million a year to live your dream life, dream homes, cars, vacations, whatever it is, and giving back? All right, let's show you how to make $1 million. No, let's show you how to make $2 million. So you can have your dream life. You're making twice as much as you want or need to make, and you can give half your earnings away. That's what I'm all about. That's huge. And I think that's what purpose is. I think that it doesn't need to be an intimidating word, that people have experienced things and can do things collectively that gives them a unique offering to the world, aka your why, as Simon Sinek would call it. Your purpose, as we're calling it now. And then, if you can stay within your purpose of just doing what it is you feel you're supposed to do, then not only will your life never be the same, but you'll look over your shoulder and other people's lives will be changed as well. So that's what I think purpose is all about. I love it, man. That's so good. And it's just like, at the end of the day, I mean, that's one of our biggest missions. I mean, it's crazy. I used to always, every day I would read a letter that I wrote to myself.
which is a powerful exercise, and it was goals. That was it was goals that was like what my life would look like. It was by 30, basically. So my whole dream was to sell a business by 30, and I wrote in there things like, now it didn't all come true because my vision, lots of things changed. We did sell the business, but as I read through it, one of the things I used to always say, and I believe for some reason that my purpose was to help other people find theirs. And that manifested and that came true, and that's what Life on Fire is about. Is you got to get aligned and figure out what your purpose and what your calling is, and what you're passionate about, and love what you do for work, and then the money just comes in, And like I love what your message about earn double and give back half, So it's and like that's, you've got to run a good, efficient business with scaling and automation and outsourcing, and to be in a position and to think that big, like that's a bold way to think. And a lot of people put limiting beliefs around money and things, and you're like, whatever you want to go and do, double it and give back half. Like just that mindset alone is a whole different level. Right. But it's just crazy what happens when you get clear. So I think that's cool. And what was the Simon Sinek? What's a resource that we can put in the notes for these guys? Is there a book?
Start with Why.
Start with Why. Okay.
Yeah, Simon Sinek's got the book. Start with Why. That's a good resource. You should look up his TED Talk, one of the most famous TED Talks, and he kind of really gears it more towards businesses, finding their what, their how, and then their why. Yep. Right? But it's 100% applicable at the individual level as well. Okay. Finding your what, your how, your why, and so breaking down his golden circle. Again, this is totally all credit to Simon. A lot of people work from the outside in. Figure out what you're going to do, or learn what you're going to do, then go to school, learn how to do it, never know why. Instead, starting from the inside and working your way out. Finding your why, finding your purpose. The how is the action of the specific steps you take, and the what is the result, and that's huge. So that's a great resource to read that book right there. I would obviously promote learning from someone, finding from someone who is where you want to be. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't have a check to just stroke someone, a check to learn from. I've learned a tremendous amount from Henry Ford, who died decades before I was born. Yeah. So people assume that like mentors is this like total formal relationship, like we shook on it and signed in blood, and like we're like bonded together as mentor mentee, which there's maybe not the blood part, but there is those official but you're mentoring me right now because I'm watching you interview people and I'm learning, right? And I'm watching that. So you're a mentor of mine, and this is the first time we've really hung out outside of bumping into each other once. And so people need to realize that if you have an idea of where you want to be, then start learning from and following people who are already there.
Yeah, it's the shortcut. I mean, that's it kind of comes back to the modeling, like we were saying before. It's it's not that you want to be like their personality. It's not like you want to be them or anything. But at the end of the day, I'm always telling clients that don't spend so much time and energy trying to recreate and try and build something from scratch and invent everything where everything's been done. You know what I mean? Yeah, unless you're creating technology, or you're an inventor, or you're bringing new things to market. But for most people that are watching this show, I mean, it's about building your online brand, monetizing your knowledge, building a fun, scalable business that you love. And so it's like, look at the companies that you want to be like, and take their models. And again, it's like the percentages. It's like 50% Suzanne Evans, her style business, 10% here, 10% there. Smush those together, and it's like that's the footing to launch a business fast. Totally. And the great thing is for you. I mean, if I know you're going into. I mean, I think with your gifts as far as speaking and things, it's like there's such a huge message you have to share. And if you ended up doing coaching, look at our coaching matrix and model that and make yours better. You know what I mean? And so we've so we have clients who've been diving in and doing that. And I got to give kudos to AJ, one of our elites. So he is building out his brand and for Twitter, and he looked around and he's creating a course, and it's as simple as, he's not a trained copywriter, but it's as simple as he looked at other people in the industry and looked at how their copy looks on their websites, and simply modeled that, and boom, the guy created a sales letter in less than a day. And
R&D.
Yeah, research and development right there.
Dude, rip off and duplicate.
The R&D.
I teach that every week.
Oh, dude? No way.
If you find someone who's where you want to be, rip off and duplicate.
Yeah.
Right? Make it unique to yourself. Obviously, don't plagiarize. But that's what it's all about. Doing some, seeing it's working. Okay, I want to do this in business. I want to be the Twitter guy, or I want to be like you're the Facebook marketing or real estate or whatever it is, right? You find someone who is where you want to be. It's working for them. R&D, rip off and duplicate it. That's all anyone ever does. That's what Chevy does with Ford, right? That's what Pepsi does with Coke. That's business.
Yeah, it's like Wendy's. Their whole business model was to put a Wendy's wherever McDonald's went. McDonald's spent all the money to
demographic research and stuff.
All the research, and then Wendy's would just piggyback off all that and just say, well, there's one over there, so we're gonna go there. So and I think that's it can lead to a breakthrough if you're trying to figure out, what is that you want to do and like for the business. So I think modeling or R&D, as you put it, is cool. Now, one thing I want to dive into real quick is speaking. Because I think about, so the next pillar is marketing, right? So marketing we go a lot of directions. We've done a lot of online marketing training. So I think with your gift being speaking, what would you say is a technique or a tip? Or if someone wants to get better at speaking, it could be for a podcast, could be on stage, but how would you look at sharing some tips on how to get better at speaking?
Naked, one of those types?
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's not going to be good for anybody. All right, tips for being able to speak with confidence, or
I mean,
taking an idea and making it something that you can teach them.
What do you want to talk about? For someone that has a message,
okay,
and whether they're at a microphone, they're on a stage, they're on a webinar, what's something that they can do to get better speaking skills, to more effectively communicate, have more confidence?
You need to know before you go on stage the ratios of, I don't remember where I learned this or what it's even called, but in any environment, there's 10 people in a crowd, you're on TV live, and there's millions of watching you. Here's how it's going to work. It's the 20-20-60 rule. 20% of the people are going to hate you. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're LeBron James. How many haters does he have? And he's been more MVPs than anybody, right? It doesn't matter if you're Tony Robbins, who has made a career of changing people's lives. I meet so many Tony Robbins haters at my events, right? And it's like, what did he ever do to you? Have you ever even been to a Tony Robbins event? Oh, you're just on the bandwagon of haters, right? So just realize there's 20% of the people in the crowd. They're not gonna care what you say. They're not in. There's 60% that will like you, and then there's 20% that are just gonna wave your flag and freaking love you. And when you go up on stage and you know that, you're looking for the 20% in the crowd. They're the ones that will be smiling the whole time, nodding. And I look for them and I make eye contact with them, and they keep me encouraged. For the 20%, they're sitting like this, just that aren't into what I'm saying. If you focus on those, I have learned as a beginner speaker that what I used to do is just cater to that 20%. I would find the ones that are like, just arms crossed. You can read body language, totally like even sideways from stage, just not into what I'm talking about, right? I might be talking about money principles of leveraging other people's money, and they read some books or some workshops that say don't ever be in debt, right? And, which is really ideal, towards a consumer debt, not leveraging for profits. But the whole point is, I know I'm pissing them off, and I used to spend so much time trying to win them back. When it's like, let them go, they're just not in. You got the majority of the crowd that's just like, hey, this is good information. And then you've got the ones that are just so buying in, buying them as you're moving around. And I always get off stage. If you're in an environment where you're like at a TED, you can't go off stage, then look for the people that are just loving you. And I do that. And if I'm in a room of 300 people and there's 15 of them that are just, their body language, they're leaning forward, they're smiling, they're taking notes like they can't even keep, then I find them, and I know there's one over here, I break away and I find this one, and I'm in a room of 300 people, but I'm teaching 15. Right? And then another thing I would suggest is that if it's a topic you're truly passionate about, it'll flow. So if I had to get on stage right now and talk about making salads in jars or whatever my wife does downstairs, I mean, I could wing it, but it's not something I'm passionate about. But if I got up there talking about financial literacy, of teaching people to have a better relationship with money, because so many people are afraid of making money because they hear it's the root of all evil, which is actually a misquote of the Bible, right? And so they're afraid of making money. A lot of them are afraid of what it would mean to them and how it would define their image and all that stuff. It's like, I'm excited about teaching people, no. Make a ton of money, then live well within your means, so you can change the world. Because I've never seen a hearse pull in a U-Haul. If you're this is something my coach taught me. Money's a utility. It's not a destination. If you're in it for the money, you're in it for the wrong reasons. But if you want to make the money to be the vehicle to get you where you want to be, cool. And so if I'm talking about that, I can go and go and go, and I'm not nervous because I'm excited about it. And then there's the haters that are going to be all so that would be for those of you that are speaking, whether it's and then there's obviously the different groups that you can participate in. Toastmasters and things like that, which I never actually did. But I hear great things about Toastmasters where you can start to grow and get more comfortable. I mean, there's obviously those fundamental things, but for me, having been on stage for several thousand hours now in front of tens of thousands of people, I just got home last night at 2 a.m. I spoke in Kansas City, Missouri in front of, it was a smaller group, like 230 people this last weekend. And so I literally 12 hours ago, no, maybe 24 hours ago, I'm on stage. And I do that to this day. I know that there's people in there that aren't into what I'm talking about. It's just not resonating with them. They don't think that what I'm teaching is going to work for them in their lives, or they think it only works for me because I'm special. And I see their body language. They're invisible to me. And then the rest of them are just, they're enjoying themselves.
That's huge, man.
That's the one that love me. I go to them, and I walk right up to them, and I talk to them this close, even though I'm in a room with 300 people, and they're just like, I give them knuckles, the whole deal, and we just interact. And then all of a sudden you've been on stage and you're done, and you've crushed it.
That's awesome, man. I've never heard the 20-20-60, and so powerful. And you can just see like your mindset on that. You're not, all the fear around speaking is what are they going to think? It's, did I screw something up? And
everyone's afraid of the 20% of the crowd that's not going to like you, and that's why you have a fear of speaking. Yet 80% collectively will be into it, and 20% are going to love you.
Totally.
And know the numbers before you get up there. You have nothing to be afraid of.
That's really powerful. I'm definitely gonna use that. I'm gonna R&D that.
Gosh,
I'm gonna R&D that.
My man.
I love it, man. Well, cool. And so, last pillar being networking. So, what would you say as far as? I mean, I think we kind of touched on this downstairs, but you know, it's like giving first. When the guy shows up with, you know, for John Lee Dumas's, you know, their day together and brought a gift. You know, it's like anything that you can speak to as far as a tip for networking. You know, for someone to grow their network.
You know, I've already touched on it. Then there's the Jim Rohn quote, you are the result of the 5 people you use most of your time, right? There's all that stuff. But I truly, from personal experience, know that you need to invest in relationships of people who are going to further where you are. And so are you talking networking as far as who your network is, or networking as far as like advertising, networking, and getting your brand out there?
Yeah, no, networking just as far as, you know, networking,
building
relationships and
invest in relationships in any way you can. He's a perfect example of that. Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a big deal. It's kind of hard to get a hold of. So you created value. Had a book launch, wants to be a New York Times bestseller. So you bought $30,000 or whatever it was, ridiculous, of the guy's book. That's a unique offering. Now you're in the position someone might say, well, I don't have the 30 grand. Every single person, you can create value in their lives in some way. And if not, you can observe from a distance, right? You have this. People are learning from you that might not be able to invest into your elite group. But guess what? You're giving massive content away. So surround yourself with this type of content, Life on Fire. I do the same thing, right? I mean, I'm launching the podcast now, but I have my coaching students. I have my community. Have being on stage. I mean, I've got whatever. And even if they're not working with me in the one-on-one coaching environment that some are, they're still exposed to it. So invest in relationships. Be very careful. And then this is a harsh reality, and some of you might not like me for this, but you're in the 20%, so I don't really care. No offense. You have to eliminate relationships that are holding you back. And I had to do that. You can love them still. You can appreciate them. You don't have to, like, you know, make it some big breakup. Like, hey, you're not going anywhere in your life, so don't talk to me anymore. But I had to choose wisely, and I had to surround myself and not associate with people. And so I surround myself with guys like you. And I disassociate myself from the people who are exactly where they are now at 30 when they were at 20 and where they're going to be sadly at 40. Because it's like, this might sound a little harsh, but I call them emotional vampires. They just suck you dry, and it's hard to be inspired, motivated, and change the world when you're around people who have completely accepted complacency, have no desire, and are completely content with doing nothing. It rubs off. It's like you gotta shower it off by being around people who are where you want to be. So as far as networking, it doesn't mean you have to be making $1 million a year to be able to write checks to whoever you want to learn from. All of us started day one. All of us started day one. My very first mentor, he was in a place where it wasn't a network marketing. I know that you have a background in there, but it was a sales company, and they would have a sales event every Thursday night where people would come to buy the product. I showed up early. I set up every speaker. I set up the white screen. I set up the monitor. I connected his computer. When he showed up, I met him in the parking lot. I carried in his briefcase for him. I opened his laptop. I connected. I got his PowerPoint. I gave him his clicker. I made sure the batteries were good. He was on.
Yeah.
He did his thing. He was off. I tore it all down. I packed it back in his truck. I did that for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And that guy ended up coaching me for free.
Wow.
Because I was the one that was always there, showing up. I bought a suit I couldn't afford, so I looked the part, did everything I needed to do to continue learning from that guy. And he was my first mentor ever as a result of that.
It's huge.
And then I had a different coach that was like my first actual, I wrote a check, that's Tony. But this is the first guy I learned from in business. I didn't have any money, so I created value.
Always a way, create value. I think that's going to be one of the takeaways on this is that, if you don't have a mentor or an accountability coach, that let's use this as the challenge, to challenge you to go out that you don't even have to spend money, but it could be finding someone that is where you want to be. And you could straight up, there's a lot of people that would be really flattered by someone reaching out and saying would you mentor me, and ask, even if you're just sending them your goals once a week and they just quickly look at it, I've got two girls, that I'm mentoring. It's amazing. It's so cool. And so whether it's a business coach, whether it's a life coach, a mentor, accountability, this is going to be that challenge. We're going to challenge you to go do it because every single person, that's obviously why we are, coaches, and this is how we help people. But you look at all the success stories and you study entrepreneurship, and it's one of the biggest leverage factors, investing in yourself, making that decision, surround yourself with that network. So
I want to add two things to the challenge. So number one, I guess I'll start with this way. Don't be afraid of the result. If you want to learn from someone and for some reason it doesn't work out and it's a no, then you're right where you were anyway, right? So many people are afraid of a no, not realizing that a no would just put you right where you are anyway.
Yep.
And it's either Gretzky or Jordan. One of them says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Yep.
Or maybe they both said that. So go after it.
Yep.
And if it's a no, don't be afraid of that. It's a no. Okay.
Yeah.
But then the second thing is you need to also understand that a lot of people who are where you want to be, their time is very valuable and don't expect something for nothing.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that sounds bad, but you've got to do something, right? You've got to create value. I don't mean to sound arrogant, but my time, if I'm not working, goes to my family. And so any extra time I give to someone is taking away from my wife and baby girl.
Yeah.
And there's got to be something there for that.
Yeah.
Not money or whatever, but just something. Just
value.
Yeah, there's got to be some value. So don't think that just because you ask, Gary Vaynerchuk's going to start mentoring you next week, right?
Yeah.
You've got to create value by buying his books or whatever it is. So just figure out creative ways to add on to your challenge. Figure out creative ways to create value in people's lives. And if they say no, don't be afraid of that because you're right where you were anyway.
You know what creates the best accountability?
What's that?
Is money.
Oh, that's for sure.
You know what I mean? And so what's so amazing is that when I first cut the check to pay $3,000 a month for coaching, that was nuts. You know what I mean? I wasn't even aware. I knew what business coaches were, but I never had one. And I'm like, man, $3,000 a month. But at the end of the day, I was paying for the result. This woman, my good friend Shanna Sumter, she had the lifestyle that I wanted, and I asked, how do you have it? And she said, well, I have a business coach. She looked at me, she was like, you don't have a business coach? Like, what are you doing? And when I cut that check and invested in myself, everything changed. You got to play a bigger game, you know what I mean, when you're doing that. And so that's one of the things that's powerful. Why I think coaching has a whole nother, that you're paying for has a whole nother levels, because you're paying for it, you're committing at a deeper level. We have our clients sign contracts, and there's a true commitment. And the beauty is that what people perceive to be an expense is an investment with a return. Anyone that puts in $500 or $3,000 a month, it's like our goal is to help them make a lot more than that.
You're talking about having skin in the game.
Yeah.
That's basically what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're in the financial position that you would be able to coach whoever you chose to and waive the fee, but they will get a better result having skin in the game. You always will.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about it. That's how it works in real estate. It's called an earnest deposit, right? You don't take people seriously unless they put skin in the game.
Yep.
So
skin in the game.
It's important.
Get in the game. Get the skin right in the game. So last question before we wrap up. I always like to end with just one thing that most people don't know about you. Could be anything. Could be weird.
And you gotta give me some heads up on this.
Could be weird.
One thing that most people don't know
about you.
Oh man.
We already know that
I'm just
you're not a pool shark.
No, I'm not good at pool. I'm not good at golf either. Although I have a putting green in the back there. I'm trying to think. There's things you would know about me and none of them would know, but I'm pretty open within my inner circle. People know a lot about me. It's one thing that people don't know about me. You totally stumped me right now.
I mean, it could be, you know. I mean, so we got could be funny. I told a story about. I shouldn't even go there.
Yeah, probably not.
I've got some weird things about me, but you know, third nipple. I've got a third nipple.
Oh, that's cool, dude.
Yeah. So does my brother. Oh yeah.
Really?
Should I say that? Should I bring that out? I've got one that I don't know. This is gonna be my legacy if I say this.
I mean, do you show it now? Do we see the third nipple or something?
Yeah. Do we get a zoom in?
Yeah.
No, but this other story will define my life if I share this. I might have to wait.
Okay, you might have to wait on that one.
It's a doozy.
I don't have anything as cool as a third nipple that I can think of. I was just thinking of when I love cars, right?
Yeah.
When I was 14 for a long time, when no one was looking, I would just hop in one of my parents' cars and go cruise around. And one time I was going a little bit too fast and wrapped one around a tree at 14 years old. A lot of people probably don't know that, but and it was about 8 houses away from my parents' house.
Whoa.
So I had to walk home and be like, Mom, Dad, you know, they're upstairs.
Yeah.
And I was like 14 years old, like, how do I explain this? So I don't even get my license for another 2 years. I've been driving your car when you're not watching, and this time it's up the hill on the tree.
Wow.
I mean, it was bad. So that's something that they know, right? And a lot of my immediate friends know, but probably the world doesn't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's just something I'm just attracted.
I think we're gonna have to be careful in the Camaro.
Yeah, no, I drive a little better now. I drive a little better now. So that's something people don't know, but I certainly don't have a third nipple. I don't know. I might actually.
I'm kind of a one-upper with that one.
Yeah, I probably should have thought about this more. I can't think of anything cool.
Yeah, I mean, what about like I don't know, what's a unique talent or?
I play like 20 instruments.
Okay.
And I can hear any song.
There we go.
And I can memorize what it sounds like and pick up any instrument and screw around on it until I can make the sound happen again.
That's crazy. That's pretty cool.
That's they call it an ear for music or whatever, but
it's no third nipple.
I don't have no, it's not third nipple. It's still not as cool, bro. Why'd you have to start with that? Like, why'd you have to open up with? You're like, all right, so what kind of car do you have? Honda Civic? Cool, I have a Ferrari. Right? Like, why you got to start with that? But I mean, that's something a lot of people don't know is that I don't have a photogenic memory, but I can hear something and hear it perfectly in my mind.
That's crazy. That's cool.
I can hear sounds and they don't go away. And then I just go to the piano until I hear the right sound.
Yeah.
And then I memorize the fingers and I play music or guitar or whatever else.
Dang.
That's something maybe people don't know about.
That's cool. That's very cool. Well, dude, this has been awesome. And I just want to say a big thank you from the whole Life on Fire community for sharing some nuggets and wisdom here with us. And I think we still have to go rip in the car for a minute.
I think we should.
I think we're going to have to.
This time.
And just so you guys know, I'll avoid the trees, that baby girl had to be transported to what?
My wife's parents, so grandparents.
Because this car is this loud to start. Because she can't be napping when this thing gets fired up. So I'm fired up to hear this thing.
It's baby girl's nap time, and so Mama had to take her to another house because it's a loud car.
We're going to fire it up.
I hope the cameras can capture it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you hear something beautiful and you film it, and then you listen to it later and you're like, oh.
So we got to hear this thing. Let's roll.
Let's go.
That's a life on fire right there.
Then I stopped.
Still peeling out.
Yeah, it's we did a 0 to 75 in like 4 seconds real quick though.
Crazy, man.
That's good.
All right, so I'm glad you made it through this episode. There's so many good nuggets in there. And here's the thing. We have Cole Hatter speaking at our Ignite event that's coming up in June. So if you go to lifeonfireignite.com, you can actually grab a free ticket to come spend 3 days with us live, transform your mindset, your business, building up an audience, creating your movement, and also hearing from Cole rock it out on stage. So very unique opportunity. He is not easy to get as a speaker, and we're so blessed to have them there. So grab a free ticket to ignite your movement and just go to lifeonfireignite.com and make that decision to just light that fire in your belly, surround yourself with amazing entrepreneurs, and help you get from 6 to 7 figures. Hope to see you there.
I'm here to help you set your life on fire.